We are Shifting Gear, a design think tank at the London School of Architecture, exploring how to realise the walking and cycling city. Our think tank outlines a radical alternative to the way we design our cities, which places the needs of people first. The 20th century has been shaped by the motor vehicle, which has led to efficiency of movement being prioritised over access to the facilities required for daily life. Our current over-dependency on the car is at the expense of people's health, public space, and the environment. We will take you through 2 chapters. The first chapter will look back to the past to understand where we are and how we got here. The second chapter will look forward to presenting an alternative future for our cities. At the core of this think tank is our big question: what is the future of movement in London in 2050, and what will be the consequences for architecture and urban design? Our think tank proposes to reclaim major London roads for walking and cycling, radically improving how we live in the city. London has experienced a tremendous transformation over the last century as a result of putting the needs of cars before people. Rapid expansion has led to main roads like Kingston Road becoming nothing more than thoroughfares. The noise and pollution caused by cars has made Kingston Road an undesirable place to live or work. We propose an alternative city model that is based on access, not mobility, and on people, not cars. One where neighbourhoods integrate working, living, playing and learning within a dynamic, safe environment that is full of delight. Our vision will seek to reverse the damage caused to our cities over the last century and propose an exciting vision of the future. From the city to the neighbourhood, this changes everything.
We will explore how a truly walkable and cyclable London could look by investigating and designing at 3 scales: the city, borough and neighbourhood. Seen in the map is the former Old North Road, which is found on the historic path of the Roman road, Ermine Street, which connected London to York. This forms an important north-south connection route in the city today, known as Kingston Road, which runs through the borough of Hackney. Dalston is a cramped and polluted area where pedestrians and vehicles fight for space. However, it is also home to a community who enjoy Dalston for its vibrancy and culture. The vision for the walking and cycling city is controversial and divisive. Some love the idea, some strongly oppose. Acknowledging these different perspectives has helped us overcome some of the challenges raised by the proposal. Why? This project comes at a critical time for public health and the environment. In December of 2020, a coroner ruled in a landmark case that air pollution contributed significantly to the death of Ella Adu Kissy Deborah, a 9-year-old girl living near one of London's busiest roads. It is unacceptable that vehicular pollution can cause severe or even fatal health problems, and it is unacceptable that poorer sections of society are the worst affected. Every crisis presents opportunities. The public health crisis caused by COVID-19 has challenged notions of how our cities are designed, from working patterns and commuting through to the essential needs of individual homes and our relationship with nature. The climate emergency poses an existential threat of a 6th mass extinction. We must use the opportunities these present to pursue radical alternatives to existing models.
To propose a future walking and cycling city, we must first analyse the city's history. Over the last 2 centuries, both the bicycle and the car were invented to move people more efficiently. At the turn of the 20th century, however, the car transformed the urban landscape like never before and allowed London to expand rapidly. As we have found through historical analysis, our city is now one based on mobility. The city is designed for the car. However, this has led to hugely inefficient use of space. In Dalston, roads and pavements make up about 92% of all public space. The walking and cycling city can make efficient use of the space formerly taken up by cars and still provide us with an expanded public realm. There are multiple policies currently being implemented at city, borough and neighbourhood scales, which have influenced our design for the walking and cycling city. Governments have become increasingly committed to promoting walking and cycling in order to improve public health and reduce pollution. Gear change, making London child-friendly, and the Mayor's transport strategy are 3 key policies that will help London become a more active city. Hackney has above average levels of active transport use when compared with London as a whole. The current Hackney Council strategy is to turn local access roads into low traffic neighbourhoods, to decrease car use in residential streets and reduce rat running. However, This leaves major roads, which are the most polluted and typically house the most poorest sections of society, until last. We believe by focusing on restricting car access to major roads first, we can accelerate the shift towards the walking and cycling city. These diagrams present the extent to which existing commuters in Hackney are likely to commute via cycling. Compared with the rest of London, Hackney shows a greater percentage of such commuters. However, the diagram on the right shows what would happen if attitudes to cycling were to change to current Dutch levels. This shows the amount of improvement possible if Hackney were to go Dutch.
This path to progress establishes how the walking and cycling city will be realised. The Mayor of London's aim is for London to reach a 35% active transport share by 2041. We have projected, using current data, that Hackney could go further than this and reach a 70% share by 2050, but our design think tank hopes to push us even further. We imagine that reclaiming the streets for people and shifting the focus onto the pedestrian and the cyclist could propel Hackney to reach a 95% active transport share in 2050. We imagine Dalston will become an exemplar of how the walking and cycling city can develop within the context of the city's evolution. Realising the walking and cycling city. The London strategy. We would begin this process by expanding the congestion charge zone to the north-south circular. The first reclaimed road extends from Tottenham to Clapham, passing through Kingston High Street in Hackney. This route has connections to all forms of public transport in London, all London Underground lines and Crossrail 1 and 2 stations. This route has connections to major green spaces and waterways, connecting and facilitating 8 15-minute cities along its path, making it a strategic first choice. Zooming into the borough, the newly pedestrianised Kingston Road crosses Hackney. The Hackney Brook is uncovered, creating a new route and destination. These moves transform the borough while connecting a web of 15-minute cities. At the neighbourhood scale, we have reimagined our city streets from pedestrians' perspective and incentivise active travel by designing safe and enjoyable, healthy streets. We have categorised the streets and set the ratio between pedestrian and vehicle uses. Kingston Road as an orange path, 1,000 people to 1 vehicle. Local streets as green streets, 200 people to 1 vehicle. And finally, yellow routes, 50 people to 1 vehicle. Two-way roads used by public transport organised so all residents live no further than a 5-minute walk from a bus stop.
The principles of the City of Access are relocalisation of existing services to provide an increased variety of uses within people's local neighbourhoods, intensification of existing city districts which will see increases in density and building height to accommodate demand for housing and services, reappropriate space formerly occupied by cars for public use to create an expansion of public realm and new street conditions, and new movement of infrastructure and architecture to maximise opportunities for greening and biodiversity to help reduce carbon emissions and improve well-being. Gillette Square sees refurbishment and rebuild. A living elevation, meaning a habitable facade which allows and encourages interaction between the building and the street. Mixed-use buildings with a medley of functions. Entertainment, culture, healthcare, hospitality and workshops, with active education integrated throughout. The centre of Dalston. Directly adjacent to the Dalston-Kingston Overground station, this is where people will arrive in the area. The centre celebrates culture with a new theatre, art galleries and a growing centre. Designing the City of Access. First up, Kingsland Road. Imagining the streets as an active, habitable public realm. Rooms in the street for the community to share, dwell, learn, enjoy and interact. And central lanes allow cyclists to move up and down the street. The Hart Street infrastructure becomes a permeable landscape and realises a sponge city concept. This creates greener, healthier urban space with enriched biodiversity, whilst reducing the flood risk and creating more clean water for the city. The central lane allows essential services to operate safely and quickly. This, of course, includes emergency services and also deliveries, although these only happen at night between 11 p.m. and 7 a.m. to maintain the emphasis on active transport throughout the daytime.
Local roads will also have the opportunity to be repurposed for community use and encourage healthy, safe and enjoyable living. As you can see, the existing condition is hard-surfaced and car-dominated. We propose to invite nature, play and growing into the local streets. We reimagine Dalston Square into a forest street, which invites an abundance of nature and wildlife into the city. We suggest allotment streets where citizens can grow their own food. Sought after in London, we propose allotments throughout the neighbourhood. School streets provide safe, playful streets and welcome independent, joyful travel to and from school. And the Hackney Brook becomes a cherished new route and destination woven through the reclaimed streets of the borough. So far, we have outlined how our proposal radically transforms Dalston for the pedestrian and the cyclist. We see this as an exemplar for inner London, and we propose the reclamation of all London's Roman roads. From Chiswick to Ilford, from Brent Cross to Woolwich, from Finchley to New Cross, and from Woodford to Lee, and additionally providing walking routes above the existing Overground lines. All inner Londoners now have a connection to the walking and cycling web within a 15-minute walk of where they live. Through scaling up in this way over the next decades, we move towards a walking and cycling city, radically transforming how we live and move in London.